Welcome to First and Goal, where everything is made up and the points don't matter. Get ready for the latest and hottest topics in the SML. Let's get started. Here's your host, Mad Bomber.
All right, SML, welcome back to First and Goal after a 1 week off. We've got Prime, we've got JSmoove, we've got Coop, and we've got Dump. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
Well,
Dump, you're a little quiet. How are you doing over there?
hey, we're doing well.
All right. Well, let's jump into question one then. Dump seems ready. So we'll start with Coop. Who is the most stubborn SML member? We've seen some quarterback changes, but who's really going full fig? And we'll start with you, Coop.
Well, I'm going to pick on my boy Matt. He seems like the easiest answer. I'm pretty stubborn myself, but Matt takes that even a couple steps further than me. I guess he's finally maybe going to move on from Haskins, but it's a little too late now. We're over halfway through the season. He continues to use Haskins. Maybe next week he'll change that. We'll see. I looked up some stuff. I know you guys had the Bushwhacker breakdown earlier, and Dan covered some of this, but I'll just go ahead and say some of the stuff I have if people are watching this first. So Haskins is the 47th ranked quarterback in the SML by overall. I know that doesn't mean everything, but that's backup numbers there in that ranking. He could have maybe drafted a quarterback. I know Dan drafted one at the end of round 3. But his second round pick was a right tackle who is now 70-ish overall and normal dev. That could have been the quarterback that Dan has. That's a better guy to dev than a 25-year-old Dwayne Haskins. If you're watching, please just move on next year, draft a quarterback. You don't want to reach for one in the first round, take one in the second round.
All right. And bonus point for basically regurgitating what Dan said on Bushwhackers. All right, JSmoove. What about you?
So speaking of mediocre quarterbacks, there is one man in this league who loves mediocre quarterbacks more than Matt does, and that man is no other than Tiny Titan. First of all, I mean, Jalen Hurts, we can talk about Jalen Hurts, the Eagle, the issues there. But I wasn't even thinking about that when I hear most stubborn SML member. Did anyone see chat the last 2 days talking about Ryan Tannehill?
Oh, you're not on the Block Tiny on Sundays wagon?
Oh, I am now, but it doesn't matter what you say. Ryan Tannehill's the answer, and there's a reason, and there's a reason why why the Jacksonville Jaguars suck. Whatever it is, he's going out taking shots at everyone just because Tannehill threw 4 interceptions, and I think the same rationale applies to Jalen Hurts throwing 4 interceptions every other game. Although Tiny has shown some flashes, and that division is just as wide open as the AFC South is right now for SML.
Yeah. All right, Prime, how about you?
So I do think that the correct answer is Matt, not only for what he's done with his quarterback situation, but, I mean, remember last cycle he blamed all of his team problems on poor old PJ, and now there's no scapegoat. So he's using Haskins as his scapegoat. But I don't want to be boring, so I'm actually going to say another guy, Mike FML. I think Mike's a pretty stubborn guy. With building that Colts team in trade talks, I think the asking price in season 1 for Nyheim Hines for me was like a first-round draft pick or something. I thought that was a little high. And some of his other players, he values them like they've been developed by the GOAT, but I don't know. I think Mike's pretty stubborn. What's the quarterback situation? Getting a slightly better man's version of Carson Wentz and Derek Carr. I mean, compare their overalls, and they're literally pretty close rating-wise. So I'm going to say Mike, Tiny, and Matt are all good answers. They're all 3 of them thrown in the same boat. They're going to be the same. Hey, I used to be the most stubborn, though, but hey, I'm on Discord now, so I'm a changed man.
Need channels. Give us channels.
We'll see.
There you go. You do have a little bit of stubbornness left in you, I see. All right, so we'll move on to well, actually, I forgot Dump. Dump, do you have anything to say on this topic? Okay. Oh, just a lot of barking. All right, so we'll move on to topic 2 then. Topic 2, we'll start with JSmoove. So I just won my first Simbardi after finally getting over the hump. Who's the next person to get there first, if anyone gets there first? Who do you think it's going to be?
All right, so I mean, we have the usual cast of characters in the AFC. You have your Faz, your Prime, you Bomber, your Dan. You guys have your Simbardis, right?
Yep.
I think, I mean, as much as the AFC has shown time and time again to be the better conference, because we have to go through all of you guys, and B, they just AFC beats up on the rest of the AFC teams. I think a team from the NFC, like a QP or someone like that, could end up being the team to get there first, just because they will have more opportunity to make a Super Bowl. They have such a better chance of even making a Super Bowl, getting a shot at that Simbardi. I think that someone like QP is someone who will get a chance and is the most likely person to get over that hump.
I like that. How about you, Prime? What do you think?
Nobody. There's no shot that myself, Bomber, Faz, or Dan are going to let it happen. I look at QP. I don't even want to say Paulie anymore. They just don't got it. They're just not as good. I think it's going to be the big four just kind of taking turns winning the freaking thing. And I don't think it's close right now. I don't see it. I hate to say that, but I hate to see it. But I got Bomber at 2. I got myself around the same number, and maybe Faz is going to get 1 or 2 as well.
Yeah, I like your answer much better. How about you, Coop? What do you think?
I kind of agree with both of them. I think QP probably has the best shot at making it to a Super Bowl, or multiple Super Bowls. Anything can happen in one game, so I mean, there's a chance that he could win, but he's pretty far behind with the Lions team over the top dogs in the AFC. So it's going to be tough. But I mean, if there's just one of those games where there's like the Memorial Day miracle or something crazy, or somebody fat fingers run commit, or anything can happen. So I'm going to say QP.
All right, I can see that. I kind of agree with what JSmoove says as far as they're going to have probably more opportunities than anybody else. All right, so moving on to topic 3, Prime, we'll start with you. So the Browns just won a Super Bowl as a running team. Dan kind of found his way after an 0-5 start by getting back to the run with Eckler. Your team looks a lot better now that you've got Whitfield and you're running the ball. Were we maybe too quick to call this Madden a pass-heavy game when it looks like a lot of the success is coming on the ground?
Yeah, I think so. And I think part of the reason is because people like to overreact, and we knew patches were coming, and they did come. There's some people who say that the running game was changed. I don't necessarily think it doesn't feel a whole lot different to me, other than that I've just adjusted to the game a little bit. And I think when you're not able to roll out and throw 80-yard bombs for touchdowns, naturally you're going to have more plays.
Anybody else lose Prime?
Yeah, we lost him.
All right, then he's going to be stuck on 53. Coop, how about you? What do you got?
Yeah, I'll say when the game dropped, there were a lot of broken zones. Like deep blues were
out of the game
bad for a while.
It was bad. It was bad, but it's made a comeback. I mean, hats off to EA.
All right. Speaking of comebacks, welcome back. So, Coop, you were saying.
Yeah. So when the game came out, a lot of the zones were broken, so you could pretty much throw anything over the top. Those were just free touchdowns because the deep blue zones just weren't even reacting to anything. You're coming off of a game where running was overpowered. You didn't even need to follow blocks last cycle. You could just fall forward for 4 or 5 yards. Even though I had Derrick Henry and refused to run, that's pretty much how the game played. There's a couple things that are still the same in this Madden that have carried over for quite a few of them, and it helps the running game. And that's one of them's tackling. Unless you get a user tackle, or some guys try to hit stick and miss. If you don't make the user tackle on runs, sometimes the pursuit's really bad. You can break a long one. Running's always going to be that way until they change a few things. But I will say there's a lot of overreaction at the beginning, but I never thought that you wouldn't be able to run this game. Maybe you're not. People aren't averaging 10 yards a carry. It's 8 yards a carry for the top guy this time. But
All right. What do you think, JSmoove?
Yeah, I mean, I think initially Coop touched on it with a lot of the deep zones being broken, cover two being literally unplayable at the time. You can say what you want about it now, it's at least a little usable. And just with every deep, games playing in preseason tournaments and stuff, people were going, 21 to 21 passing, stuff like that. And it was just first person to, if one person gets a stop, they win. That was just a product of the zones being broken, I think. It was a product of it being a new, I don't know if it was a full new game engine, but it was just a new game. It moved slower. Everyone moved differently, so everyone had to adjust. And you saw that a little bit, especially with running. Everyone initially, first time running, it felt like you were running in molasses because we were so used to last year's Madden. Not only that, but everyone last year had 95, 96 speed running backs that had all these abilities and stuff. Then you go back to, you're using Damian Harris, and it's going to feel much different. The fastest non-Raheem Mostert running back, I think, is like 94, 95 maybe. So I think that made a big difference as well. Plus, yeah, I mean, again, Coop touched on it as well. Tackling is harder this year because middle linebackers aren't shooting around. So now that people have kind of settled in, you run the ball, you can actually make people miss. We've seen some terrible pursuit angles from myself, from everyone. I mean, we saw Meat's game most recently. He's diving, missing at people. Like, it happens to all of us. It's very hard to use or tackle. So yeah, I think we were too quick to come back in a pass-heavy game, even if upon release that's what it was, because the zones basically didn't work. You couldn't get a stop.
All right. And it looks like we lost Prime then. Or did you guys see him?
Nah, he's gone.
I don't see him back.
That's what I thought. All right, so we'll just continue on. And we'll start with Coop here. Last question. Do any of the primer call-ups eventually challenge for a Simbardi this cycle?
Guess it depends on how you're going to define challenge. Unfortunately, a lot of the primer call-ups this time have gone to the AFC, where all the guys that have most of the Simbardis are already sitting. So I know Smoove, you made some moves this year and tried to kind of go all in with some older guys that might help you for 2 or 3 seasons here. We'll see if that works out. But I think the guy that maybe has probably the best roster, and I'm going to say if anyone can make it, like, now challenging for a Simbardi, I'm going to say maybe they make it, maybe to the conference championship game somehow in the AFC. I'm going to pick Spades. Smoove, you need to lose some nicknames. I don't know what's up with these primer guys. You've got like 6 nicknames. So I'm going to have you, when you get to answer, just narrow it down to 2 for me. And then maybe I'll put you up there next time.
All right. And JSmoove, what do you got?
Yeah, I did not come up with any of these nicknames. Rice just started calling me Smitty once. I was like, oh, that's a dumb nickname, and now that's what he calls me. So it's a dealer's choice there. But no, to answer the question, I think Spades has so far played the best. Monty's had his share of game management issues. He's using Mac Jones, you name it. That's been some goofy stuff. But, I mean, he's a good player at his core. I think Monty is the one, just kind of, it's the same argument I touched on with the Simbardi question. I think he's going to have by far the easiest path toward the championship. If, even if he doesn't win his division, if he, say he has to beat QP and that's it, basically he has to go through Clink and QP, I think that's a much easier path than having to beat, Dan, Prime, and Bomb or whatever it is. I like to think I'm going to at least be in the playoffs this year and, probably get waxed in the first round, but hey, who knows? We've seen crazier things happen. You got to make the playoffs. Rice has had a down year. He's kind of regressed a little bit, but he's a good player. And Spades is the one playing the best football right now, so that's a reasonable answer. But I do think it's Monty because in the NFC, I think he's one of the better players in the NFC already. And that's getting used to a new team. I don't know what the hell he's doing as a GM. He's totally mismanaging that team, letting Devontae Adams walk, you name it. But that said, with whatever he has, he can win games. I know he's fully capable of that, and I expect to see him make some real noise in the playoffs. And maybe even make a Super Bowl this cycle. Which
Yes.
at that point is competing for a championship.
As somebody that's lost to every single primer guy, I think somebody will probably make a run, and he probably does have the easiest path there. Prime, you there? Didn't think so. Okay, so with that being said, then it looks like JSmoove is our winner in the Who Can Talk the Longest competition, and with a score of 186. Oh, Dump, settle down over there. All right, JSmoove, these 30 seconds are all yours.
Yeah, I'd like to take this time to shout out the Bushwhackers for coming after Rodgers, lighting a fire under his ass, and motivating us to making the playoffs this year. It's you're going to see a lot of Rodgers out here, be just like last game where he threw 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. We're coming out to make some noise in the playoffs. We'll see you there.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It looks like you should have a pretty tough schedule, so we'll see how that goes. But definitely a shot at making the playoffs. All right, guys. Appreciate you being on, both of you that didn't have internet issues still, Prime, and Dump, you too. All right, guys. Until next week, this has been First and Goal.
Thanks for listening to First and Goal. Be sure to check out Mad Bomber TV on Twitch and YouTube for the latest from the SML. And we'll see you next time on First and Goal.